All the attacks on us came after Nigel Farage joined the party. We were probably the most active branch within Reform. I think we've got about 17 councillors, 17 elected members. I think we'd won every seat. I don't think we lost a seat. On the night, we'd got quite a few people telling us we'd actually won. As the ballots were counted and put into bundles, they put onto tables nearer the middle. Well, 3 of the tables you could clearly see we were ahead. Quite a few of the other opposition party people, they were coming over to us and saying it looked like we'd got it. But one table, it was a totally different story. And 2 of our people had watched a woman all night, and what she was doing was taking ballots that were all clearly ours and putting them in the Labour tray. We called this out 4 times in the night, and the returning officer didn't do anything about it. I brought this up with Nigel Farage, and he said, well, the returning officer's decision's final. He wasn't interested.
Wow.
Because he didn't want another person like me, friends with Andrew, within Parliament. Our chairman had an email come. We'd all been removed. The whole branch had been removed.
Oh my gosh. Hello and welcome to the Resistance GB podcast. My name's Emma Dunwell and today I'm joined by Alex Stevenson, Derbyshire County Council candidate. So thank you so much for joining me today, and would you like to tell people just a little bit about yourself to get us started?
Hi Emma, thank you for having me on the show. Well, I'm from Derbyshire, live in Heanor, lived in Heanor most of my life, and been a member of the Conservative Party since 2010, left in 2023. I think it was. I was expelled from the Tories for supporting Andrew Bridgen, following that I sent him information that I received from local hospitals regarding vaccine harms and injuries and deaths. Andrew Bridgen was the only MP that came back to me. Being a local MP, Nigel Mills refused to look at the information, saying it wasn't peer reviewed, so he wasn't interested. I then took the information on to Derbyshire County Council. They refused to look at it as well, and a few weeks later, maybe 8 weeks later, Andrew came back to me and said the information was very interesting and he was going to get back to me, which he did, and that's where Andrew is where he is now. He was one of the main voices that we had early on. It was just local people were getting the information. I had nurses come into me, doctors come into me, but we hadn't got a voice. They were all threatened with suspension or being sacked if they spoke out. And in Derbyshire, I believed at the time I was the only person that anybody could come to with any concerns. And Andrew Bridgen was the only MP who took this on.
What kind of backlash have you had for publicly supporting Andrew Bridgen, and maybe some other views that you have?
When I joined Reform, Richard Tice was fine. He knew my friendship with Andrew Bridgen. He knew what we stood for. He was quite happy for us to join the party. Whether he agreed, I don't know. We carried on our working together. I then went to work for Reclaim while I was still a party member with Reform. Richard was fine with that, as far as I'm aware. He never said anything. And I had no communication with Paul Oakden or any other senior figures within Reform. And I was then selected to stand as a parliamentary candidate for Reform, while I was still helping Andrew Bridgen while he was in Reclaim, but then he became independent and I continued to support him. And all our group of Reform activists always went down to support Andrew in North West Leicestershire.
This podcast is able to happen thanks to NutriHealth 365 vitamins. For information on how vitamin D crucially supports your immune system, click the link below. More on NutriHealth later. Speaking of MPs, could you tell us about what happened on election night in Amber Valley?
Yeah, well, it looked quite good on the night. We'd got quite a few people telling us we'd actually won. On 4 of the tables, as the ballots were counted and put into bundles, they put onto tables nearer the middle. Well, 3 of the tables you could clearly see we were ahead. And quite a few of the other opposition party people, they were coming over to us and saying it looked like we'd got it. But one table, it was a totally different story. And 2 of our people had watched a woman all night And what she was doing was taking ballots that were all clearly ours and putting them in the Labour tray. We called this out 4 times in the night, and the returning officer didn't do anything about it.
Nothing at all?
He came over, he picked one bundle up, he flicked through it, not even looking at it. He then passed it to the woman that we'd brought into question. She held it, looked around the room, and then put it back in the pile. So we called it out again, and this went on and on all night. And then when it came to the final verification of the figures, the papers were put down in front of us, and they said, "Are you happy with the result?" And we said, "Well, could we have a bundle check on that table?"
Yeah.
They refused.
They didn't even want to check?
No, and then someone in the Labour group shouted across, "You saw losers."
Oh my goodness.
But you could clearly see it. And
Yeah.
we'd asked all night where the boxes were for Hena, Langley Mill and Aldica, because nobody'd seen them. Yet they said they were counted early on. And if they had been counted early on, that would explain this table being so high, we thought, in our votes.
Yeah.
Because we'd got over 700 boards up. Majority were in that area. You could go down some streets, and on one street in particular, there was 39 houses with our boards on.
That's quite the good promotion, isn't it?
But we won most of the other areas.
Yeah.
There was 2 areas that we didn't, that you could clearly see the Conservatives had won. But the other areas we'd clearly won. And over almost 2 years, we'd grown our group. It was probably one of the biggest groups in the country. Was certainly the most effective, because we were winning every election, where other groups constantly, you'll see, they were losing elections, coming second or third. And we were polling... we looked at the general election, we were looking at over 32%. That's what we was getting. But in some of the seats around Hena, Langley Mill and Aldica, we were getting 60%. That was during the general election. So we thought if we could get the national average on the rest of the constituency, we'd win. And that's what we thought we did get in the end. Because there was a by-election within the Hena area, Hena West, and we won that by, I think, about 120 votes. So it was quite a substantial win. And if that was replicated across the whole of Hena, Langley Mill and Aldica and Losca, then that would have given us the amount we would have needed to win. So that says in itself that when the votes were counted, we were counted incorrectly and put in the wrong bundles. Because if all the other parties were coming back with the little logs recording that we were winning in other seats around the borough, those wins that we made around those stronghold seats would have certainly took us over. And because of the actions of certain members of the staff there, that's why we lost.
So do you have...
And it was called out constantly all night. But
ignored.
When we followed it up a couple of days later with the returning officer, he absolutely denied that we'd mentioned it. I brought this up with Nigel Farage, and he said, well, the returning officer's decision's final. He wasn't interested.
Wow.
Because he didn't want another person like me, friends with Andrew, within Parliament. That's why he's got rid of Andrew. Or he's got rid of Rupert.
Do you think that Farage seems to want to get rid of anyone that may risk outshining him in any way?
Nigel is Nigel. Nigel only wants to be in charge. Where is the Deputy Prime Minister? Where is the Shadow Defence Minister? Shadow Home Secretary? There's nobody. It's one-person party. That's it.
Do you think that he can be successful going that way?
No. Nigel will disappear. If he wins the next election, he'll disappear, and everything will be handed over to Mohammed Zia Yusuf.
That's what I think that's what a lot of people are worried about.
We said that last August.
Last August?
Last August we said that. Once it came to September, we saw the Constitution, the way it was written, where the chairman has total power, and then it was confirmed to us in Kegworth, where Graham Young said to me, I questioned him about Ben Habib, and he said that the decision to remove Ben Habib from the party was down to Zia. And I said, well, surely it should be down to Nigel Farage or Richard Tice. He said, no, Zia is the party. End of.
Is that because Reform is still technically a private company, and because he effectively bought his way in, he now owns, is it around half of the company, is it? So
I would have thought so, yeah.
So Farage couldn't even get rid of him if he wanted to.
No, he can't. He can't get rid of him.
Do you think he's done that deliberately, or is that a trap that he's fallen into?
No, it's deliberate.
Oh.
It's deliberate. The whole thing is. And that's why I think, well, quite a few people think now, after we've been talking to them, that the whole plan with this unitary authority is that reform will do quite well. They'll take control of all these councils that are going to go to unitary. All these candidates they've got are paper. They won't have a clue what they're doing when they take over. So the councils are going to collapse. Reform will get the blame for it.
So reform is basically just heading for complete annihilation.
Complete disaster.
Do you think, I mean, there's obviously been talk of reform Magna Carta, democratising the party. Do you think that could save it? Or do you think...
It could do if you've got the right people running it.
Yeah.
But Nigel Farage and Zia Yusuf aren't the right people. They're only interested in themselves.
Well, what possibility is there that there could be two completely new names running reform? How would they get them out?
It's a limited company. You can't remove them.
Yeah,
they've got to go themselves, whether they bought out of the place.
Or it would have to be a new party.
Yeah.
You've been purged from the party.
Totally.
How did that come about, and how does it feel?
All the attacks on us came after Nigel Farage joined the party. We were probably the most active branch within Reform. I think we've got about 17 councillors, 17 elected members, albeit some of them have got more positions. I've got 3 council seats, and there's a few other members that are the same. So there's not actually 17 individual people. Right. There's about, I think there's 11, but holding other seats. When we were notified sometime late August, I think it was, by other branches across Derbyshire, there was a regional organiser called Helen O'Hare who was going around the branches, basically destroying the branches, removing members, removing chairmen at will. And this went on for months. Everybody seemed to be coming to us because we were probably one of the longest established branches. And where was it? You kind of do that when I'm thinking. We came to the conference in September. I think it was about 22nd, 24th, something like that. And a meeting was arranged between ourselves, our group, and Helen O'Hare, our regional organiser, which was Melandra Smith, which is absolutely brilliant, and an elected member, and Zia Yusuf. That was supposed to be the meeting. The meeting never took place because we just got rejected everywhere by everybody at the conference, other than the normal grassroots activists. They were coming to us because they knew we'd got so many seats. And we had issues with Gwaine Towler. I asked him for a meeting. He rejected it the first time. Then the second time I asked him, he came over, took me to one side, and he said that we were far too active for the leadership.
Active?
We were far too active because we'd got so many members and so many councillors, and they had to rein us in. So we all had a little bit of a meeting. We thought, well, if this is going to continue, we might as well all leave. A few weeks later, I think it was, maybe 2 weeks later, the area organiser, Melandra Smith, was sacked by the party. So I get again email after email, phone call by all the Derbyshire branches wanting her reinstated. So I then contacted Nigel, told him what was happening. He said that Melandra Smith was brilliant and to keep him informed of what was happening. So I did, and kept him informed of all the seats we were winning. He kept acknowledging with a thumbs up or something like that we was doing well. Richard Tice the same, either a thumbs up or keep up the good work. I've got all the messages on WhatsApp. And then a meeting came up in Kegworth. So we weren't supposed to go because we weren't branch chairs. So myself and another county councillor went over to see what was going off and hoping we could meet with Zia Yusuf, because he'd refused to, well, we'd never had an email back from Zia. We'd asked him numerous times for a meeting to find out what this issue was about us being too active. We went to the meeting. We introduced ourselves. A guy called Graham Young, Helen O'Hare, they'd never met us before. We were quite shocked that we were there. and then took us to one side, wanted to know why we was there. So I said, well, we want to know what's going off. Why is all this trouble going on throughout all the branches in Derbyshire? Why are people being thrown out of the party when they're perfectly good candidates? Then we had the talk with Zia came in with his bodyguards, which was quite bizarre when you were with a group of friends, supposedly, and two heavies turn up. He left. I went outside to get a cup of tea, hoping I could catch Zia to have a chat with him. Graham Young moved in and said I couldn't have a chat with him at all, and took him straight out of the building. So,
did he say why?
No, he just wouldn't let me talk to him. So this was one of the other odd things. Then I got a message from Graham Young asking me who signed the last 3 candidates off. And I told him I was a DNO. And he said, well, how were you a DNO? And I told him that I was appointed a DNO by Alan Greaves, who was the national DNO. And it was later on we found out that Alan Greaves wasn't even a member of Reform UK. So technically he hadn't got the authority to give me that certificate. Yeah, I'd had it for 2 years, almost 2 years. Well, a year and a half it was. I had it for a full year. Then it expired for the general election. He then renewed it, and we never checked it to find out how long it was for. So obviously we carried on signing off all our candidates, not knowing it expired on the 1st or 2nd of September. And it was then in December the 15th when they had a big cull of members. It seems that most of the members we know were thrown out of the party on the 15th, so they must have had quite a long meeting unless it was all pre-planned. That I didn't know though until after the new year, because of my emails. I had a new phone, and I still can't retrieve any of my old emails from the 26th of November. So the emails were probably backed up. I was then sent another email on the 29th of December saying that I was suspended because I'd signed off these last 3 candidates, but there was 3 more candidates that we had to put through as independents after that. So when I was told by Graham Young in November that the certificate might not be valid, we didn't do any more.
Yeah.
But we didn't know because we hadn't got the certificate. And then we got the certificate and found out it had expired. So
it was all void.
It was all void. And so are all the candidates, really, that were signed off by Alan Greaves, of all accounts, if he wasn't a party member.
Do you think that it was a very specific strategy to get reform where it is now? Chaos.
It's total chaos. We've got so many people all across the country. We'd supported, all our branch had supported and funded every election within Amber Valley. I think we'd won every seat. I don't think we lost a seat. Everyone we campaigned against for.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, every single one. Apart from when we first joined Reform, almost 2 years before, when we joined Reform, Richard Tice gave us about 6,500 to find as many candidates as we could. We found 29. We didn't win any at the borough, but we came second in most of the seats. This is when nobody knew about Reform. And we won 7 seats on the town council at Heanor, and since then we've increased that to 9, and we've then won 2 more on 4 more on Shipley Parish Council. We've now got 4 councillors there, and we've got 1 on Codnor Council and 1 on Langley Mill Council. So we're increasing the council seats.
Yeah.
But this election's going to be a struggle, probably, because everybody still thinks we're Reform.
So why would it be a struggle for you to be elected this year?
The only struggle will come from people not knowing we're not in Reform anymore.
Right.
Everybody we've spoken to still thinks we are. I spoke to 9 people Saturday evening delivering leaflets. They all came out, welcomed me, said they're voting for us. And I said, well, do you realise we're not Reform anymore? And they were totally shocked, but they still said they were going to vote for us. Our problem is that our candidates, we've got a candidate for every seat in Amber Valley. Our branch is not doing any seats outside of Amber Valley. We're only concentrating within Amber Valley. But all our candidates will have a name, it'll say independent, and then there will be a blank box where there's normally a logo. People, when they go to the ballot box, look for a logo. Mm-hmm. So they will instantly go towards the Reform box thinking we are Reform. Because for 2 years we've been shoving leaflets through, working the area as we've done for the last 14 years. The groups stayed the same. We've done the same work. We've always get elected, but now Reform's so high up in the polls, people just go out and vote Reform.
How would you plan on combating that?
We're just speaking to people. But we can't get to every household. There's far too many households. So
would you need activists on the ground to come and help you campaign?
Yeah. We have got quite a big group. We've got over 170 odd people that's helping us in the area. So not all physically, but other people who are helping us leaflet. Yeah. And I'm assuming these all came from Reform.
Yeah, I'm assuming people can maybe like help online with sort of online promotions as well.
Because Reform's really struggled to get candidates for Amber Valley. People didn't want to stand. That's why most of the candidates are from out of Amber Valley. The guy from who's standing against me in Hena, the Hena division, he's from Bolsover. So I don't know quite what he's going to do for the people of Hena. I mean, we offer a 24-hour service. I mean, it's unusual, really, what we offer as our group. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that's from anything, from picking you up from hospital, all hours in the morning.
Yeah.
We don't mind. We help everybody.
Oh.
But other branches don't do that. Other parties don't do it.
Or they say that they will, and then they go back on it.
Like the MP. We've never seen the MP since she got elected.
Your body's immune system is under constant attack from flu, respiratory diseases and the common cold. And as we all know, vitamin D3 plays a vital role in maintaining a robust immune system. Now you can boost your immune system with Immune X365, our unique formulation that combines effective levels of vitamins D3, C and K2, as well as zinc and quercetin. This unique combination of nutrients in Immune X365 ensures maximum bioavailability of D3, thereby giving your immune system an optimum boost. Or try our new Immune X365 gummies, which are formulated specifically for children and young adults aged from 9 to 17 years old. Remember, all NutriHealth 365 orders come with free 2-day track delivery. Go to NutriHealth365.com to get yours now.
How did it come to be, leaving Reform or being expelled from Reform?
Well, straight after the election, we got a phone call. Again, it was from this Ellen O'Hare, wanting to stand in Amber Valley. She wanted me not to stand again. And then, so we put it to our branch. Our branch supported me. She then went away. We didn't hear anything about her. And then all the attacks started happening to branches all over Derbyshire, especially to Bolsover, North East Derbyshire, Andy Egerton, Melandra Smith, Robert Reaney. And they were all coming to us for advice because nobody at that time was attacking us. So then as soon as we started helping them, that's when the attacks started on us.
Right.
And then after the conference, it got worse. And then we found out that, I had to apply to the party 3 times to be vetted. I was already a member, so I applied for vetting in September. That was my first £25, because I was a member. Then, for some reason, their system, they said, lost all my information. So Graham Young asked me to apply again. So I joined the party again. Because once you've joined, it won't let you go into vetting unless you rejoin.
Oh, okay.
So you have to join again. Yeah. So another £25, then a £10 vetting fee. So I did it again. So that's 2 lots. And then the same happened again, strangely enough. So the branch was getting a bit annoyed. They'd all put theirs in, but they didn't want to stand if I didn't stand. And there was a few members who were refusing to go and put the names forward if I didn't get approved. So it went through again. All the information was lost again. I got all the messages.
A third time?
Yeah, the third time. So then I got this guy called Jack Aaron, I think Oliver, who appears to support Hitler. It's been on the news. He called me and he said, send me your details to him. So I sent them directly. He confirmed he'd received them. Graham Young came back to me and said that we'd have a result back within the next week or so. 2 weeks went by, nothing. So then we complained to him again and said, look, we need to get all the candidates approved, ready for next year. He says, oh, we've got plenty of time. So we all gave all the details through to him. He had them for 3 weeks. He then came back and he said, sorry, mate, I can't get them fast-tracked. You're going to have to all apply again online. And then our chairman had an email come from Helen O'Hare with a new list of candidates. We were not on it. We'd all been removed. The whole branch had been removed.
Oh my gosh.
And none of these people were known to anybody. We couldn't find them anywhere. They were all from outside of the area. And then our chairman was asked to call them all and ask them if they wanted to stand. She did. And quite a few of them didn't want to stand. One of them even applied to be a security guard for reform. He didn't want to be a candidate.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a security guard. He was a trained bodyguard. This is how bizarre it was. So I sent all the information through to Nigel. Nigel didn't reply. This is the first time he didn't reply. I sent it all through to Richard Tice. Richard Tice came back to me and said, deal with your line manager, end of. I've got it on a message. So I replied back, the line manager is the issue here. And then I said, I've even tried to get in touch with Graham Young, the national campaign manager. And I've tried him 8 times on the phone, sent him a screenshot when I've tried to call him. No reply. Richard Tice replied, stop pestering me.
Stop pestering him. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's so unprofessional.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like, the more I hear about reform,
They're terrible.
it sounds like arguments taking place on a children's playground,
Yeah.
doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Stop pestering him.
And then when it came to Ben Habib, we went down, all our group went down to Wellingborough twice to help Ben during the Wellingborough campaigns. Andrew Bridgen came down, brought all Andrew's trailers. We swapped all Andrew's banners for Ben's banners. We did quite a few meetings, interviews with people. We delivered loads of leaflets, and we was trying to get it that nobody was going to stand against Andrew in the parliamentary election. And we was assured from I can't remember the guy's name, tall guy. There was a guy in Nigel's office who came to one of the net zero debates we had in Parliament. We had dinner afterwards, and we got chatting, and he said that he would have a words with Nigel, and then came back to us and said that Nigel had assured him that nobody would stand against Andrew at the parliamentary elections, which when it came to, it wasn't the case. And they didn't really do an effective campaign, but they managed to get enough votes to force Andrew to lose.
Even if he didn't lose, do you think it would have been a tactic just to simply throw you off?
No, they had to stop Andrew. They didn't want Andrew back in Parliament.
Just categorically?
Yeah, at all costs, he had to be stopped. That's what the agenda was.
And do you think that that's specifically due to his concerns with the efficacy of the vaccines?
Everything. He stood up for everybody in his constituency. He's by far the best MP they'd ever had. And second to that's Rupert Lowe.
So are you hoping for a party that would maybe bring in all these names together?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you'd go for you'd have interest in that party, would you?
Yeah.
How well do you think that party would do?
I think it'd do very well.
I think it would too.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Nigel, and Nigel's just Nigel. That's all he's interested in.
Do you think he fancies himself the UK version of Trump?
No.
You don't?
No.
What do you think he thinks of himself?
I don't really know. He's controlled. He only does what if you watch him. If you watch him when he's on stage at the conference, he comes on smiling, but then when he turns around and he thinks he's off camera, his face is completely blank.
Really?
No smile. It's amazing how he just shuts off. You watch.
So who do you think he's controlled by?
No idea.
A lot of people think he's been bought out by elitists. Not my words. It's just kind of rumoured.
Yeah, he's bought out by somebody.
Wow.
I've heard a few rumours, but I don't know what they are, whether they're true or not.
I was going to ask you a little bit about the finances in reform, because
where's the money?
Where is
none of the
it and where's
candidates
it
have
going?
got money.
Yeah.
They've all got to fund their own campaigns. Yet this guy, Nick Candy's come along and said he's going to get millions. So why aren't all the candidates been showered with money? They've all had to pay for their own leaflets.
Do you think that Farage is a bit just money hungry?
Well, they've got loads of staff. All the money must be going on staff. Because the candidates certainly aren't getting it.
Well, not too long ago, he was willing to accept a huge donation from Elon Musk. Now,
I don't think that was ever going to come.
No, but if Elon Musk had actually offered it, Farage did say that he would have been open to it, and then he changed his mind because people were starting to think, oh, hang on a minute, why are you letting an American, get in with UK politics?
Yeah, I think it was more that Elon had realised how bad Nigel was.
His support for him has kind of dwindled. Do you see Farage's support continuing to dissipate globally in the States?
It just depends on the
well?
media. I mean, if Nigel wasn't controlled opposition, the media would be attacking him. The media are constantly supporting him, which when he was in UKIP, they were constantly attacking him. He wasn't controlled at the beginning of UKIP because he was little known. But then as he rose up to the leadership of UKIP, he was probably taken over by then.
Can I get your opinion on characters like Ben Habib?
Yeah, Ben Habib, great guy. We went down, campaigned for him twice, took all our team down there. The reform campaign was totally all over the place when we got there. We took about 30 people, activists down to help, 2 trailers. We arrived there, I think it was about 9 o'clock, no leaflets ready for us, total chaos in the office. We had to wait around for about an hour and a half before we got some leaflets. And then they only gave us enough for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I've never seen a campaign like it. There's no wonder Ben lost because he hadn't got the support of the party. If he'd have been up in Amber Valley, we'd have been all over him. But there was nothing for him. And then there was a Great Resist conference in Riddins, in Amber Valley. I was asked to pick Ben up from the train station. I picked him up from the station. Prior to this, I'd had a text message, a WhatsApp message from Graham Young saying that we wasn't allowed to work with Ben Habib. So I replied, why? And he replied that he wasn't a member of the party, he wasn't a supporter, and he certainly didn't help the party in any way. So I replied something along the lines that, I thought he'd stood for us twice, and he's the deputy leader. And then he replied, this has come directly from Zia.
Shocker.
So I picked Ben up. Ben came to the meeting. When everybody was talking in the room, I asked Ben to just come in another room and just to have a little chat with him. And I said, are you a member of the party? And he said, as far as I'm aware, I am. Yeah, I fund the party. I do everything for the party. I've stood for the party twice. And I said, I've got some messages. Would you like to see them? So I showed him. He was horrified the way they were treating him. And that's when he went and said he was leaving the party after he'd seen the way they'd spoke about him.
That's
on
awful.
These messages. Yeah.
I mean, just on a personal level.
There was no contact directly with him. They just put it on messages to people.
Where's the respect for your peers?
This is what they're like. It's Nigel or nobody. If anybody can overshadow Nigel. Same with Robert Cllr Silk. Robert Cllr Silk was overshadowing Nigel back, was it 2004? That time, I think it was.
It was the year I was born.
But anybody who overshadows Nigel is out.
Yeah.
It's a one-man party.
It's
going to go nowhere.
Do you think that Zia Yusuf could even be at risk of, getting too big for his boots, or do you think that his position is fairly...
Zia Yusuf's only interested in control. Nothing else, control.
And will he get it over Farage?
Well, if people are misguided enough to vote for reform, there's lots of good people in reform, lots of good people. But a lot of the candidates at this election are paper. In Derbyshire, there's probably about 16 that's not paper candidates that we know of. Majority of them supported us, and we support them. We're helping them. And they're the good ones. But the rest are just paper. They just needed to fill the spaces. So it's going to be total chaos in Derbyshire if they win.
So do you think it would be a case of...
It's all planned, because they want Derbyshire to fail. We don't want Derbyshire to fail. We want Derbyshire to succeed. We don't want Derbyshire to go into this unitary authority, because it'll be an absolute nightmare. and we want Amber Valley to succeed. But the Labour Party in Amber Valley are running Amber Valley to the ground because they know it's on its last legs.
What about the current Labour government? Like the actual government in power at the moment, do you think they're legitimate?
Have we got one? It's in total chaos.
How long do you think they have?
Well, they've got till 2029, haven't they? Unless they go before, but who knows?
Do you think there's a possibility of that?
It'd be nice, but we need somebody to replace them. And Nigel Farage isn't the person to replace them.
I was wondering what your take would be on the local election cancellations that's going on at the moment. Obviously, saying that they're going to take place next year. Some people think that when that time comes around, they'll be postponed again. Do you think that that's purely coincidence, or do you think that there again is some kind of strategy or some kind of foul play going on there?
There is a strategy that the government's got. It's all part of the unitary authority, which we were totally against. And a lot of the councils are against it as well.
So do you think that when it does come round next year, the elections will be postponed again?
More than likely.
Could you tell us a little bit about future plans for Amber Valley independence, or any future campaigns coming up that we should be looking out for?
Well, we're going to continue fighting every election that comes up. We've got quite a few by-elections coming up soon, as well as the county. We also have 2 borough elections that suddenly popped up about a week and a half ago. We're fighting those, and it just shows the incompetence of reform, because the area manager for reform didn't even bother to put 2 candidates up. This is how bad they are.
Yeah.
And this is the problem we had all the way through with her running the campaign. You told her who was standing, where they were standing, when the elections were up. They did nothing. So we had to do it. And that's why we were given the DNO, just to get on with it. And we did, but not realising it only had a 3-month lifespan. If we'd have known that, we wouldn't have gone over that.
Yeah.
But everything was done deliberately, I think, to get rid of us. Why would you get rid of one of the most successful branches?
Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as Amber Valley is concerned, Amber Valley Independence, we go in as Amber Valley Independence at this election, and we're looking to Ben, Andrew, Rupert and Howard Cox, whether they're going to either set up something new, and we're going to move forward with that. But we've got groups all across the country of all the people that's been thrown out of reform.
Yeah.
And they're all standing ready.
Brilliant. Could you just quickly tell everyone where they can find you on social media, and where they can support the cause? Yeah,
we have a website, we have Facebook, we have little links. I think there's one on LinkedIn as well. All down as Amber Valley Independence. If not, look for my name, Alex Stevenson, or Alan Abernathy, or Phil Rose, and they take your links through to all our groups.
Lovely.
And hopefully we'll be successful.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I think it will be. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you. For more exclusive behind-the-scenes content, please be sure to subscribe to our Patreon. It really helps us cover the cost of any live streams, events, protests, or anything that we do. You'll also be seeing any behind-the-scenes footage and anything that we might be doing with Defiance Records.
Resistance GB's new series, 1,000 Words, has me, portrait artist Jake Fern, talking to some of the key figures in the movement. Half my brain concentrating on having a conversation, and the other half on making a painting. Do I succeed at either? You be the judge.